All right, thank you all for coming to the 1 Million Cups meeting today. We are hosting at CoLab. Currently, we've been in several venues over the last few years. We started at a great facility, Cowork Annex, at 1 Palafox Place when they initially opened. We moved from there, I believe, to Pensacola Social Desk, and then from there we've moved to CoLab. Did I miss a location? I think those are the 3 locations we've been in. So welcome if you're in person. I know we have some visitors from New Orleans. I see Jody up here today. The agenda today is pretty simple. The facility here known as CoLab Pensacola, the Community Sport Incubator, has reopened officially as of Thursday last week. 6 of our tenants who were here when Hurricane Sally took the roof off and flooded the building and drove a large construction project on all 30,000 square feet of the building. They've completed, as always, there's a punch list of things still left that need to be worked on and tuned up. But we're back in the building. We are anxious to make sure that our approach, if you will, our reboot of this startup, using startup mentality, is in tune with the community. So part of talking to 1 Million Cups community participants is listening and learning. So just the background. CoLab was a notion in the local community in the 1990s. The notion was that in addition to traditional economic development through business recruiting and supporting business expansion and business retention of existing companies, that we would also like to support growing our own businesses. Now, underneath the header of economic development, those businesses have some criteria. Those criteria are hard-baked into the master lease agreement, which was struck with Pensacola Junior College and the Pensacola Chamber in 2008. That is when CoLab launched originally as a Gulf Coast Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So some of those hard-baked in requirements, I'll just list them for you. 1, it has to be something to do with STEM-related technology. It doesn't mean you're building Google or Facebook or something like that. But what it means is that you are creating and integrating solutions that customers need and want that integrate technologies and some kinds of disciplines related to technology, engineering, math, or science. Over the years, we've had quite a few interesting firms. A lot of them are creators of what I would call technology bundles and also hard assets, if you will, products that are marketed through digital technologies in some cases. So that's one of the key requirements. The other ones are pretty basic. You need to be under 25 employees, because under the state law in Florida, a college-sponsored incubator cannot host a tenant under lease with greater than 25 employees. Another criteria, that your firm has to have a focus. Either today it's achieving 51% or more sales outside of the MSA, which is the metropolitan Pensacola area. If you don't have sales over 51%, we would like to make sure that you have a business plan that is addressing how will I grow my revenues from people outside of the market. You might ask, well, why? All right. One of the kind of old school thoughts on the definition of economic development is very simple. There is a primary industry definition which says a primary industry exports its products and or services and therefore generates wealth being imported to the community from which those products and services are created and delivered. That's the notion here. We would like to see people import wealth, grow their payrolls, hopefully, smartly, and then potentially move out of the building into their own physical property. We have commercial realtors. We have residential realtors that are part of the ecosystem. They're always happy to see somebody graduate from the facility and the programs and then have the wherewithal to go lease or buy a building. EBI Group Management is one of our firms that actually bought and refurbished a building near downtown. I think Michael Silver's company, did you buy a building? Yeah. So he bought a building. So this is a part of the growth that we're looking for from successful entrepreneurship efforts. I'm going to stop there and make it interactive. Is there any questions on those three criteria, which were basically STEM or integrating technologies into the startup, into your company, looking for markets outside of just the local city and county? And there was a third one, under 25 people. That one, I don't think it's questions. Anybody, you feel free to speak up if you've got a question, anybody, in the room or online.
How long can you stay there?
Okay, so very good question. Another one of the hard rules in our lease agreement is that a small business concern, which is under 25 people, can only stay here for a maximum of 5 years. The lease agreement also has created a policy board. Our policy board membership is currently led by the Dean of Baccalaureate Programs at Pensacola State, Dr. Kirk Bradley. So the policy board has other members. He's the current chair. And the reason why it's 5 years is it's pretty simple. This is not meant to be a permanent home. This is not a commercial real estate development company. Its goal is to bring a bunch of people here and, make rental income off them. This is about trying to attract entrepreneurs who can benefit from below market lease rates in the first couple of years, and then participate in the programming we have here. We offer reduced price or free tickets to EntreCon. We have access to the I-10 Wired Annual Tech Summit at Pensacola Beach. We have entrepreneurial support groups we participate in, just like 1 Million Cups. So we are organizers of the Startup Weekend here in Pensacola. We support the Children's Entrepreneurship Business Group, of which Jim is one of the co-chair leaders. We support the University of West Florida Code Fest, which is a similar startup event over the weekend in their computer science department and their College of Business also. So we've got a lot of different activities. Often people are not aware of them, but I diverted from the answer, which is our policy board sets our pricing per foot in the building. We have a graduated scale. Year one is below market, currently around $13 a foot. It's $12 a foot. Policy board is reviewing lease rates currently for this present year coming up. The second year, it goes to $15 a foot. The third year is at $18 a foot. And then in years 4 and 5, I like to call those the highly motivated learn to fly and get out of the nest rates, because they then move up. I believe it's they go $23 and $28 a foot. Now, our board has told us that for all of the things that we provide here, training, the other benefits, high-speed internet, filtered water, coffee, furniture, power, we do charge extra for janitorial services. But for all of the things that are bundled in our lease rate, they say that's probably got about $6 a foot value. So I might argue that first-class space before COVID in downtown was around $23 a foot. At least that's the last time I rented a Class A office in downtown on Palafox for another company. So with all of the benefits included, I would say we're still very competitive. And a lot of entrepreneurs, when they seek other space, do find there's a lot to think about when you have to move. Furniture, utility deposits, all those things that are just, you can move in. We're move-in ready here. So part of the reboot here, and I'll get back to, did I answer your question, Michael?
Yes, you did.
Any other questions? And I'll try to wrap up where I'm going with this thing so we don't.
I just signed up. Like, what's the beginning stages of
We have a
being a
website,
part of this?
and we have a button that says apply. And you fill out a form, basic information on your business, and then Casey and I go into a sweat lodge and we have a seance Now, what we do is we evaluate that. We talk to you on the phone. We really get to know you and your business, and we ask a lot of these questions that you're hearing. This is like a preview to make sure you qualify. Because the next step after that is a simple short deck for about a 5 or 10 minute presentation. For example, on last Friday, we had 2 folks who presented and were approved to move into the building. Both of them are people that I've worked with for years. One of them I met through another entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur in Pensacola named John Switzer. The entrepreneur was Dale Speechens. Dale, I referred to Bob Foster for the UWF Veteran Entrepreneur Program because Dale was an Army vet. And Dale also got referred into the G Beta program at the Studer Community Institute, he participated there. And he's really done a great job of bringing his pitch and his deck together. And he is a tech-based horticultural startup that is a really neat idea. So he is going to be here, and we're working through the details of actually putting an R&D container on the PSC property on the west side of DeVillers in order to have an R&D urban garden experiment right in downtown Pensacola. That's totally cool. And then the other gentleman that is he's a neighbor of mine actually, and a good guy, is Dave Robau with National Energy USA, and he is a garbologist. And he was in the Air Force, and he's developed a recycling technology platform to go into communities to replace landfills, to reclaim 50% of the landfill solid waste into a burnable, clean energy source.
Oh, we need that.
And then the other half, I think he can get another quarter or 33%. He can extract metals and other byproducts that can be put back into other production efforts. So those 2, we got 2 more people in the pipeline on the side to come in soon for another meeting. So we are actively recruiting. And I don't want to read ahead, Brian, but eventually that'll be my ask. So that's the story of the collab. We are really known for trying to be inclusive. One of my challenges is trying to develop relationships across, various parts of the spectrum, if you will. We do mentor the folks that are active in the accelerator program called Startup on the Blocks, which Brian and others. Jim, welcome. Glad you're here. Sorry. So if anybody's got another question, I'd love to entertain those questions from you guys.
So on the transitioning out, what happens if you exceed expectations or become extremely popular in Pensacola, but not so much popular outside? Or if you hire too many people too quickly, how do you transition them out? If they no longer fit the criteria?
Well, I'll be honest with you. We've only had one of those in my knowledge here at CoLab, and that was a company maybe you all have heard of called Iris Intelligent Retinal Imaging Systems. They were the largest Series A VC round of any client that I'm aware of in the building. They raised $9 million in a venture capital Series A. They did exceed the 25-person. So we do have another program that we sponsor out of this building called the Soft Landing Program. Okay, so we revised our lease agreement with Pensacola State College, and this is a structured program for if there's a company in another country or out of Pensacola, or a local company, in this case, that exceeded the size standards, then what we did is we said, okay, you can stay in the building. They were waiting for construction to finish on their new building in downtown. So it was a completely understandable delay in them relocating. So we called them a soft landing client, and we negotiated a rate differential in the lease agreement, basically. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't remember the details. I just know that I think that soft landing rate might have been better than the 5th-year rate. So I think everybody was happy, and they only overstayed by maybe 3 or 4 months. It wasn't a major major, thing. But back to your question. If Michael Silver had been here in Glow Rage and gotten up to 25, 30 people in the building and, was just busted at the seams and wouldn't let any other clients move into offices because he sucked them all up, mainly storing large crates full of neon paint in the hallways. I'm sorry. I need to get over that.
They replaced the carpet already.
The rent-free hallways. So we try to be flexible, okay? Because look, we're here to help people. And Bob Foster will introduce himself hopefully after I shut up and say Bob Foster, evil capitalist. I do believe in capitalism. I'd like to think that enlightened self-interest is also a requirement of being in a for-profit enterprise. You need to help other people when you've been blessed. That's kind of good karma. We've never put anybody out harshly, but Jim, to your point, we do have a four-story building. We do have roof access. Does that help you understand?
Absolutely. Good answer. I was thinking about some of the larger companies that you've gone through and was curious how you deal with them as they grow. So
we haven't got anybody that really hit 25 that I know of other than Iris. Okay? So, that was the only one that hit that threshold, and they had a move-out plan. They just, were delayed in moving.
Hey, Patrick, this is Brian. Can you explain roughly like the size of a typical office and what it would lease for? I know you mentioned the price per square foot, but how big kind of are most of the offices there?
So we have a handful of both really large offices. Our third floor suites that face east are all approximately 950 square feet. So 950 at, help me out here, $12 a foot. I think it's around that number, right? It's about $900 in year one. So that should give you now a lot of the smaller offices. Good morning, Gio is here with his new rebranded company, and it's called Mind Media. Is that right, Gio?
Close. Mind Marketing Group.
Mind Marketing Group. Thank you.
Yes,
so
sir.
Gio is in what I would call a friendly two-person office.
Yes.
Yeah, and so a smaller office here would be about 150 feet. Yeah, maybe 250 feet. So in year one, it would be 150 to 250 bucks a month, plus a cleaning fee and sales tax. So that's the deal. Yeah, and so two of our spots on the third floor have been taken by Shipshape Urban Farms. I believe National Energy only wants a one or two person office. We've got them reserved for those two folks. So we do have offices committed, but folks, I still have, even with those folks, I still think I have 5,000 or 7,000 square feet available. So push, pull, or drag your trade-ins. Bad credit, no credit. Well, I'm sorry, that's a different sales pitch.
A good one, though.
But we do that kind of a process of evaluating applications. There is a presentation to the policy board. They then vote and make a decision on the spot, although we ask the entrepreneurs to step out of the room for a few minutes. It's generally very friendly and amicable and engaging. Again, our policy board includes the Dean of the Baccalaureate programs at Pensacola State. They've just launched their Bachelor of Applied Science and Entrepreneurship program. We are providing support for them in their capstone classes so that students will do a pitch contest and the winners will get some free rent here in our space in the building for a period of time to hopefully take their startup idea and get it launched. And we also do the same thing as support for Startup Weekend, that we provide rent credits for folks that win Startup Weekend pitch contests. So we do get plugged in. We're a part of supporting the Springs Entrepreneurship Hub, the Spring VMS, the Venture Mentoring Service. We are a part of the organizing committee for that effort and support those efforts. And we regularly refer people amongst ourselves between Cowork Annex, the Jetty IoT, if you're not familiar with those folks. That's a co-working space focusing on tech startups on the west side on Barrancas. So we're just trying to make sure that people in the community that come to One Million Cups understands there's a lot of opportunities to meet people, to learn things, and to explore educational resources. That's really the message. So I appreciate y'all's help. If you'd like to know more about CoLab, visit the website or talk to Casey or I. We'd be glad to talk to you more and love to have you join us here with your startup venture.
Great job, Patrick. Thank you so much for that. I know today's format is a little different than what we normally have. And in light of what you were saying, Patrick, I just got off a call with some of the hospitals for healthcare. And I think we're going to see some different announcements coming out soon as far as guidance and support for in-person events and hybrid items and meetings bigger than 10 people. So it'll be interesting over the next few days to see where our next path would take us. I guess the last question we have, Patrick, is what can the community do for you and for CoLab?
Well, my ask would be, please, you all come from a variety of organizations, a variety of experiences and skills and education. We would appreciate your unvarnished, blunt assessment of what can we do better to communicate to people, and what value propositions might we consider adding? I didn't talk about that, but we do host lunch and learns called the Nitty Gritty, where we have professional service providers like CPAs and attorneys and insurance folks and HR folks come and educate our entrepreneurs on those sorts of topics. We also have founder talks where we invite successful entrepreneurs. Some are well known, some are not known at all to the community. We bring them in to share their stories and tell the good, the bad, the ugly, to share their challenges, their failures, and what they've learned, and how they've succeeded and survived despite challenges. So, we want to hear from you all. Obviously, I'd like to ask you all to present at 1 Million Cups, to participate either virtually or online. Tell your friends and neighbors, bring the kids, bring the dogs. This is the young lady with fur baby bean beds over here, okay? This is Stacy Ferguson over here, the red shirt. So that's what I'm looking for, honest feedback on what can we do better with programming and or messaging to engage more people that we don't know that we might need to know or that might benefit from getting plugged in. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, in all these years of working with you, Patrick, I didn't know the prices you were talking about for those small offices. It really would appeal to some of those smaller businesses out there, some of the minority ones that I'm working with. I didn't know the exact kind of pricing arrangement, so I appreciate you letting me know that today and explaining that to me.